Hi, and welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy, and I'm coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024. Happy New Year to you all. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. I hope that you really enjoy this episode. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting and crocheting to share with you primarily. I have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I'm hosting a year-long make-along again this year on Instagram called the Make 9 2024 Mal, and that's for you to join in the Make 9 challenge, where you can choose 9 projects that you would like to work on this year and post a grid of those projects to Instagram. And then anytime that you work on one of those projects or finish a project, you can post a picture of that to Instagram along with the hashtag Make 9 2024 Mal, and that will enter you in the drawing to win a prize, which I draw periodically throughout the year. But before I wrap up the make along for 2023, I have a few final prizes to give away for the Make 9 2023 Mal. So I will announce those now. All of these prizes were sent to me from a viewer of this channel named Joy, and I am happy to be gifting them off to those of you who have been participating in the Make 9 2023 Mal. So the first one is a hank of yarn from Knitted Wit. It's on the Polworth shimmer base, which is 85% Polworth wool, 15% silk. And I'm not sure about the weight of this. It's it says 4 ounces, 330 yards. I don't know what that is. Maybe DK weight? I'm not really sure. No, that's not right. Maybe, I have no idea. I'm sorry. I don't know what weight that is. I can't think of what that would be. It's not marked on here. But anyway, it's this beautiful purple color. It doesn't have a name of the colorway either that I can see. But anyway, this hank of yarn. All of the winners for these final prizes are going to receive a hank of yarn, or a set of yarn, some of them are, a bag of some sort, a little extra, whether it be a pin or some stitch markers, and then also a book from the stack of books that I shared on my last episode. So I'll share with you which books are still available. Anyway, the bag that this prize is getting is this little bag. It's called Bagoo, and there's a picture of what it looks like, but you know, just a little simple bag. And then this enamel pin from Knit Picks, which says handmade on it. And I'll go through the books really quickly. If the winner wants more information, if the winners want more information about these books, please just send your question to me in a direct message on Instagram when you contact me about your address and things like that. So I'll just go over the books that are still available really quickly. We have Carnaby Street by Anne Pole. I'm not going to say all the authors' names. Carnaby Street. Patons Next Steps 8 Fair Isle Knitting. Simple Knits, Blankets, and Throws. Knitting Mochi Mochi. New Pathways for Sock Knitters, Book 1. The Prayer Shawl Companion. And the New Prayer Shawl Companion. Get Hooked on Tunisian Crochet. Knit Simple 50 Hats and Caps to Knit. And then I have 4 pamphlets or magazines from Punch, Needle, and Primitive Stitcher. I have the 2019 Christmas Winter. I think this is on the inside. 2019 summer issue. '20 spring issue. Oops. And 2019 fall issue. So each of the winners can choose one of these books that they would like to have included, with their prize. So the first winner is on Instagram at Starfall Crochet. So you will be winning the yarn, the little bag, the enamel pin, and one of those books. So please, all of the winners, please get in contact with me through Instagram. Direct message is best. Let me know your first and last name, your mailing address, and which one of those books that you would prefer. It'll be kind of first come, first serve. There's going to be 4 prizes today. So whichever winner gets in contact with me first gets to choose their book first. And if you message me and let me know that you want a book that's already been chosen, then I will just let you know that you need to pick a different book, I guess. The second prize is getting this set of yarn from Maker's Haven, which includes 2 50-gram, I don't know, is that right? Yeah, I think each of these are 50 grams, and then 1 20-gram mini. This is the Dobby's Amortentia socks. They are on a 75-25 superwash merino, 25% nylon base. So this is so beautiful. I just love the colors in this set. So pretty. You'll be receiving this cute little drawstring bag. I don't think there's a maker on this at all. But really cute little patchwork bag. And you'll be receiving another enamel pin from Knit Picks with this pretty hank of yarn on it. And again, you will also be able to choose one of those books. So the winner of this prize is Rebecca at Happy Homemaker 05 on Instagram. Congratulations to you, Rebecca. The next prize is receiving this hank of yarn from a homespun house. So gorgeous. On a merino cashmere base, fingering weight, and the colorway is called Whimsy. It's 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. This bag, I guess, is not from Joy. I actually got this in an order from Knit Picks as a freebie, and I wanted to pass it along. It says, "All you knit is love." And this stitch mark and Progress Keeper set from the Whimsical You. Very cute. And of course, you will also be able to choose a book. The winner is Jessica at the Lamb's Den. Congratulations, Jessica. And the last winner for the Make 9 2023 Mal is receiving this beautiful bag from Danielle of Midwest Stitches, along with this yarn cozy. This yarn from Ruby and Rose's yarn. Oh, so again, this is also not from Joy. This is from Danielle, of course. Ruby and Rose's yarn in the Felix Felicis. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. On the Plump Rose base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. Such gorgeous colors in there as well. Ooh, look at that section. So pretty. And you'll also be receiving this cute little Progress Keeper from Little Bitty Delights. Oh, it fell. It is this cute, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's a little drink with a straw in it. I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to be, what kind of drink it's supposed to be, but it looks like it has oranges in it. So some type of an orange or citrusy drink. But it's very cute. And another book for you. The winner is Sarah at A Maker at home. Congratulations to you, Sarah. Thank you so much to everybody who has been participating in the Make 9 2023 Mal. It's been such a joy to be able to have you all joining in that make along, and I certainly hope that you all will join in the Make 9 2024 Mal as well. I'm going to be going over my Make 9 board for 2024 at the end of the episode. So stay tuned if you're interested in seeing what I have planned and what yarns I'm planning on using for projects and things like that. I think I have a pretty hefty episode to record today. I feel like there's a lot that I have to share. So I hope I'm not speaking too quickly. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be a lengthy episode today. I should talk about what I am wearing. This sweater I made a couple of Christmases ago or Advent seasons ago. So probably in 2021, pretty sure. And I made it out of an Advent calendar or swap that I did with Emma of Potter and Bloom. She sent me all of these minis that I used in the yoke of this sweater. I didn't follow a pattern exactly for this. I think I kind of based my numbers on a poncho or is that right? Some type of a poncho. But if you want to know more details about this sweater, I will link to the episode where I shared this as a finished object so that you can get more information about this, because I can't quite remember how I made this, but I'm pretty sure I didn't follow a pattern exactly. I just kind of followed a general idea of some type of a poncho, and then I just added sleeves to it. Anyway, I really love this sweater. I added the colors on the cuffs as well, and I just love it so much. I'm also wearing it over, let's see if I can stand up a bit to share you. I'm wearing it over one of my Hinterland dresses that I sewed, which is a pattern by Sew Liberated. And I wanted to quickly share the fabrics that I ordered to make several more Hinterland dresses. So they came in 4 different shipments. It took a while for me to get all of the fabric. I ordered 6 different fabrics, and I ordered 6 different fabrics so that I wouldn't have to pay for shipping. And then they ended up sending it in 4 different shipments, which I thought was strange. I would think that they would want to just send it in one, because then that would be cheaper for them, but I don't know. Anyway, I've already washed all of these fabrics. I ordered 2. Did I order 2 yards? I can't quite remember what I ordered now. I think I ordered 2 yards of each. I love this one so much. It's a lot different than what it showed up online, but I love it even more in person than online. So it's this beautiful marbled color. These are all stretch, knit jersey stretch fabrics that are, I feel like, super good quality. This is also the same material that I used in the dress I'm wearing, this knit stretch fabric. It's so soft and nice and stretchy. So I just love this fabric so much. And I got this black one with these leaves and berries. These were all on clearance, by the way, too, so they were pretty inexpensive. This corally color with little white flowers. This one is super cool. It has this fun silvery metallic splatters all over it. And I'm going to try to make this have longer sleeves, and maybe I feel like it needs to be a little bit more formal than the others because of the fanciness of this fabric. I feel like it's really fancy. Got this pretty floral print. I love the colors of those flowers. I'm usually not a huge fan of this light blue color. It's kind of a seafoam color, but pretty much a blue, and I usually don't go for that, but I just love the colors of the flowers, so I thought I'd give it a try. And then another blue. I'm just not usually drawn towards blue, but I really liked this one a lot too. I love the print in that. It's so beautiful. And it has like little speckles in the background as well, which I thought were cool. So I'm very, very excited to get started into sewing some more Hinterland dresses. I think I'll probably start into those fairly soon. So I'm excited about that. Okay, I feel a little overwhelmed by everything I have to share with you, but I will just get started with some finished objects. I feel like I'm forgetting something already. Oh, I know. I wanted to quickly go over, I don't know, I think I'll quickly go over my stats for 2023. I haven't shared with you my stats every year, but I just totaled up what I made in 2023, and I thought I would share it in case some of you are interested. I find it interesting to hear what other people have made throughout the year. So I thought I would just share that with you all really quickly. So in 2023, I made a total of 121 finished objects. 3 of those were, well, let's see, 90 of those were knitted projects. 27 of them were crocheted projects, and I counted my four sewn projects as well. 85 of those were gifts. 36 of them were things I'm keeping for myself or our family. Like, if I made a blanket, for example, for our family, then that counts as, that goes in the me category or the things I made for myself. But if I made a sweater for my son, for example, then I put that in the gift category. Okay, I made 3 hot pads that were crocheted. I made 29 pairs of socks. Those were all knitted. I made 4 bowl cozies, which were crocheted. I made 4 kid or baby sweaters or cardigans. Some were knitted, some were crocheted. 4 shrugs or cowls. Those were all knitted. 3 sewn dresses. 9 knitted hats. 2 knitted pumpkins, a pair of leg warmers, which were knitted, 5 shawls, some were knitted, some were crocheted, 2 crocheted baskets, 1 crocheted ornament, 1 knitted towel, a pair of booties, which were crocheted, and a pair of baby socks, which were knitted, a baby dress, which was crocheted, an amigurumi whale, which was crocheted, 2 summer tees, 1 was knitted, 1 was crocheted, 6 baby blankets, those were all crocheted, 10, 20, 33 knitted dishcloths, 2 headbands, 1 was knitted, 1 was crocheted, 2 throws or blankets, those were both crocheted, 2 cardigans, which were knitted, 1 sewn stuffy, it was a whale also, I crocheted a whale and I sewed a whale, and finally 1 crocheted poncho. So those are my stats for 2023. I really, I think that seems like a higher number, 121, than normal for me, but a lot of those were dishcloths, 30, what was it again, 33? So that really bumps up the number because, you know, those dishcloths are made so quickly. A lot of these things were made really quickly. So, and of course I knit and crochet any chance I can get. So I don't want this to be a competitive thing in any way. I just think it's kind of interesting to go over what I've made in a year. So I hope that was interesting for you to hear. Okay, on to my finished objects. The first thing I have to share is this pair of socks that I made. This is a belated Christmas gift for a friend named Michelle. And we are getting together with her this upcoming weekend. And so I'll be gifting them to her then. These were knitted out of Patons Kroy socks yarn in the Cameo colors colorway. And I shared these with you all last time because I was a little disappointed about how they were coming up since they are so mismatched. They were a lot more mismatched than I was hoping, but I think that Michelle won't mind them. I think she'll really like them. I feel like there's my hair is on them. I need to make sure that they are ready to be gifted. Okay, anyway, I knit these on US 1.5 needles, which are 2.5 millimeter, because Patons Kroy yarn is a bit thicker than regular fingering weight yarn. It is 75% washable wool and 25% nylon. I cast on 52 stitches, did 1x1 ribbing for 16 rounds, and then just did plain stockinette with a slip stitch heel flap and gusset and a rounded toe. And I like them now that they're finished quite a bit. I'm still a little bit bothered that they're not matching, but I think you can tell that they're a pair. I had thought about making a third sock to see if I could get a better match, but I didn't have enough yarn left over. I can't remember how much it was, but I weighed my yarn and it wasn't enough to make one more sock. So that's okay. I really think that Michelle will think they're cool. So I hope she likes them and I hope they fit okay. I'm not exactly sure about her shoe size, but they're pretty, socks I think can be a little bit forgiving because of the stretch factor. They fit my feet. Her feet are probably a little bit smaller than mine because my feet, I wear a 9.5 US women's 9.5 and mine are a little bit bigger than most women. She's a little shorter than me, so I'm assuming that she has smaller feet than me, but hopefully they won't be too big and they'll work for her. I hope. Anyway, I also was able to make another pair of socks using Patons Kroy yarn for my husband's Aunt Shirley. And I gifted those to her on Christmas Day. I will insert a picture here so you can see how they turned out. They're perfectly matching, so I just love that. She really was grateful for them and enjoyed receiving them very much. So I was super happy to gift those to her. I knit those in the exact same way as the ones I just shared with you. Same needles, same stitch count, same even amount of rows for the leg and everything. So those were really quick and easy to wake up. The first pair I shared with you, I started on November 30th, and I finished them on December 13th. And then the second pair the stripy pair that I made were super fast. I started them on December 13th and finished them on December 16th. So those worked up super quickly. The next pair of socks I have to share with you are my final pair of Knit Picks Felici socks that I made for the year 2023. So if you've watched throughout the year, you know that I was working through my stash of Knit Picks Felici yarns. I had 11 sets of 2 skeins of yarn in fingering weight, a Knit Picks Felici, and then I was gifted this extra 12th set by a viewer of this channel named Nicole. And so I was able to make one pair of socks for every month throughout 2023 using Knit Picks Felici yarn. And then I also used a different pattern by Crazy Sock Lady for each of those socks as well. So that was super fun to work through. I'm so happy that I was able to stick to my goal of working through that yarn. And it was really fun to make all of these socks. And now I have this gorgeous collection of socks in this beautiful basket that my friend Tina bought for me. And here are all of my gorgeous socks. I'm so excited about them. So they're all, I haven't worn any of them yet. I've been saving them until I have my whole set. And I'm so excited to have these new socks to add to my collection now. So that makes me very happy. Okay, so for these socks, last time I recorded, I forgot about this. Last time I recorded, okay, well, let me start at the beginning. These socks were made using the beautiful new pattern by Litton of Crazy Sock Lady Designs called Find the Joy socks. And they were such a joy to make. I really enjoyed making them so much. And this pattern works so beautifully with self-striping yarn. I didn't have to modify the pattern at all in order to, a lot of times when I am making self-striping, when I've made the socks using the self-striping yarn, I had to change the pattern a little bit when the stripes changed so that I wouldn't get little purl blips, but there's no purl stitches in this pattern. So it works great with self-striping yarn. I think it's beautiful. Last time I recorded, I had started making the smallest size, which is a 56 stitch count, and I decided that that was too tight. I got quite a ways down the leg and I kept trying them on and I decided that it was too tight. So I ripped back to the ribbing. The ribbing seems fine. It's still plenty stretchy, but I ripped back to the ribbing and increased to the 64 stitch count so that I had a better fit. And these do fit me really well. My ideal stitch count is 60 stitches for my socks, but this works really well for me too. I was thinking that maybe I could get away with the 56 stitch count, but it was just too tight and I didn't think I was going to be happy with the end result. But I'm so happy with these. I just think they're so beautiful. I love them so much. I was able to find this mini in my stash, which is by Yarn Bee in a little mini skein pack that I got from Hobby Lobby in the Yarn Bee line. I think it was called Florence, and I think this one is called Forest, this green colorway, and it matched so well with this green stripe. It's just a tiny bit darker, but not a lot, not very noticeable, I don't think. So I thought that was great. I used that on the toes as well. Actually, I think maybe you can tell. Yeah, you can. You can't see as easily in person, but the camera picks up the difference a little bit better. I used part of this green stripe for the toe and then switched to the forest when it ran out. So you can kind of see how it gets a little bit darker at the end of the toe. You can also see here I added in the slip stitch section on the ball of my foot, which I always do on my own socks to prevent getting holes in that section. So for the last 30 rounds of my socks, I add a slip stitch detail, which is very similar to a slip stitch heel flap. So I'm slipping one, knit one, slip one, knit one for one round just on the bottom of the foot. Then the next round I knit those stitches all the way across. I repeat those 2 rounds for a total of 30 rounds so that on the ball of my foot I have a bit of reinforcement, and that has really proven to be very effective in me not getting holes in my socks as quickly. I knit these on US 0 2mm needles. I started them on December 1st and finished them on December 23rd. And I'm super happy with them. So left in my stash, someone had asked me if I have actually gone through all of my Knit Picks Felici. I still have 2 more single skeins of Knit Picks Felici, which I think I'll make shorty socks out of sometime this year. And then I also have 2 sets of Knit Picks Felici worsted yarn that I'd like to make some worsted weight socks in. But other than that, I have no more Knit Picks Felici left, and I think it's now discontinued. They have a Felicini new line, which has thinner stripes, which I'm not super excited about. I don't know. I guess I'd like to try it, but I think I like the thicker stripes better. So I'm surprised that they discontinued it, but nothing lasts forever. So, okay. Those are all for those socks, I believe. Okay, I was also working on this Saturday shrug. I believe I shared it on my last episode. Pretty sure I did. This is a free pattern by Jackie Rose, and I knit this using some yarn that I got from my friend Tina. Let's see, the main color that I used was called Skye Tweed by Classic Elite Yarns, color number 1213, which is a worsted weight. It's 100% lamb's wool, and it was black with flecks of primary colors in it. And then I only had 3 50-gram balls of that yarn, and I needed a little bit more. So I also added in, which I shared on my last episode, another scrap of yarn that I probably got at a thrift store, and it was Red Heart Knitting worsted yarn in color number 112, and it was 100% virgin wool. And it was very similar. It also was black with flecks of primary colors, but the flecks were just more just like thin strands, I guess, of yarn. I shared it on my last episode so you can see it a bit better there, but I don't think it's very noticeable on the camera or even in person. It's really hard to tell the difference. So I started with 1 ball of the original yarn. I switched to that Red Heart yarn, and then I had 2 more balls. Maybe you can kind of see a bit of a section here if you look carefully. It's just not really that noticeable though. Anyway, I held that worsted weight yarn along with a strand of lace weight silk mohair that was just bare. That was 72% Super Kid mohair, 28% silk. I followed the pattern for the tubular cast on. Jackie has a link to a video, I believe that's this side, where she shows you how to do a tubular cast on, which is beautiful. And then it's just a 1x1 ribbed tube. I used the recommended needles, which were US 8 5mm for the cast on, and then switched to US 9 5 0.5 millimeter for the remainder of the Shrug. It calls for a tubular bind off as well, but I just decided to do a regular bind off because I didn't want to do a tubular bind off. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's super cozy, so you can wear it just like this under a coat, which I have done. I just acquired a newer coat to me. It's not a new coat, but it was a hand-me-down from my husband's other aunt named Debbie. Anyway, and it is black and white plaid, and so this goes really well with the colors in my new coat. So you can wear it like this, which is super cozy, or you can pull it down over your shoulders like this, and that's also very cozy. So I'm really happy with it. I think it'll come in super, just be really nice to have. I'll probably primarily wear it as a cowl under my coat, but it'll be nice to have in case I'm cold and I want to, snuggle up like this. I think it might come in handy to have on the go as well. So I think that's it. I started this on November 24th. It took me exactly a month. I finished it on Christmas Eve on December 24th. So very happy with this finished object as well. After I got done with all of my, after, I got done with those stripy socks that I was making for my husband's aunt, I was able to finish this one up. And then I also really wanted to make something using some yarn that I picked up at Joann earlier this year. Tina and I went along with my daughter to Joann earlier this year, and I found this yarn that I just thought was so perfectly Christmassy. I just loved the colors in this yarn, and I had to get a skein of it. So it is Lily Sugar and Cream in the colorway Summerfield, which I don't know why it's called Summerfield, because that's just total Christmas in my mind. I just loved the colors, and I just thought it was perfect. It should be called Holly Jolly or something like that, I thought. But anyway, it's called Summerfield. And so it's just 100% worsted weight yarn, cotton. And the pattern that I made is the Crochet Hot Pad 10-point star hot pad, which is it's a tutorial that I followed on YouTube by Marie of World Peas Knits. I'm sorry, World Peas 00 Knits. And I followed her video tutorial. This is the third one that I have made so far. I have another one planned with some extra yarn that I have in my stash. I'm sure I'll make even more because they're just so much fun to make, and I think they're so beautiful. I gifted a couple of the other two that I made, I gifted as Christmas gifts, and they were well received as well. So they turn out to be, a nice thick hot pad, and they're just so beautiful. So I just made this one for myself. I'm going to keep it for myself because I just love the colors so much. I used up pretty much everything. If I remember in my next finished object, I'll share with you the little tiny bit that was left over I put into my next finished object. And, but I pretty much used up the entire skein of the Lily Sugar and Cream. And then for the final few rounds, I used some plain red, which was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel. It was the I Love This Cotton in red. So that was also worsted weight 100% cotton yarn. And I love how that border of red I like how that looks a lot with the border of the red in it. I used a G 4mm hook, and I have found that on the first section when you're making this hot pad, Marie instructs you're making a lot of chains in order to make all of these loops that you eventually make these points in. And when you're making those chains of loops, she instructs you to make sure you chain very loosely. And I've just found that if I go up a hook size, then I don't have to worry about concentrating on chaining those stitches loosely. So I just went up to an H 5mm hook in order to chain those loops. But otherwise, the entirety of it was crocheted on a G 4mm hook. I started this on December 21st and finished it on December 23rd. I was thinking I did the Shrug first, but I guess I did this first and then finished up the Shrug. Anyway, After those were done, I was really concentrating on working on some of my Scrappy projects that I have neglected for a while. And one of those that I picked up, I was able to finish surprisingly, and it is this Chevron crocheted blanket. So it is the Chevron Granny Ripple Blanket, which is another YouTube tutorial that I followed by Bella Coco. And I was using up scraps of DK or worsted weight yarn. Pretty much anything that wasn't 100% acrylic went into this blanket. So it's got wool, it's got cotton, it's got alpaca, mixtures, you know, things like that are mixes of yarn. And I just used up whatever I had, and I love how it turned out. I started this a year ago on December 26th, 2022, and finished it December 30th, 2023. So just a little over a year. I used an H 5mm hook for this project. I did not write down how many stitches I made to start off. I think I maybe kind of did my own thing and just chained until I thought it looked good. It measures 4 feet across. Let's see if we can count the peaks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 peaks, I think. Maybe that'll give you an idea. It's also 6 feet long. So 4 by 6 feet, which is a great size. My husband's pretty tall. I'm pretty tall, so it's nice to have an extra long blanket. I think that's it. So I'll go ahead and stand up so you can see it in its full glory. I have a stitch. Oh, I want to share with you before I stand up that little section that I mentioned I had left over. Here is the little bit of that Springfield yarn that I added into this blanket. So that's all I had left after I made the hot pad. Okay, I will stand up and share with you how it looks. It's gonna be hard to share with you even standing up, but you can kind of get an idea of the colors that are in it, maybe. There we go. I just love it. I think it's super cool. It will be so nice to have. This is just going to be another blanket that we will use for our family. It'll go into our living room. There is a stitch marker on here. See that little bobble down at the bottom right here? That is where I was last time I shared this as a work in progress with you all, which was a long, long time ago. But pretty much I had made half of it, and I finished off another half, pretty much. It's kind of at the halfway mark, that progress keeper. So anyway, I love it. I think it's so cool. I changed colors just whenever yarn ran out, pretty much. If I had a bigger ball, I didn't like to go much more than 2 rows. There are a few that go a little more than 2 rows. Like right here, this periwinkle blue color got a few rows where there's 3, but for the majority, it's just 2. So if I had a bigger scrap of yarn, then I only did 2 rows, and then I cut the yarn and used it again later on, because I didn't want a huge section in one color. Whenever I changed colors, I used the Russian join method to change colors, which I just love using, especially in crocheted Afghans. It works really, really well to use that joining method. And I am so happy with this. I'm so pleased that I was able to finish it. It surprised me that I was able to finish it. But once I could see that the end was in sight, you know, I was getting to the length where I was like, I could be done with this. I just powered through and finished it up. So it was a joy to make. I love it so much. So I highly recommend this pattern for a Scrappy project. It worked out really well, and I think it looks so neat. Oh my, I'm already at 42 minutes of recording and I haven't even talked about my works in progress yet. I was afraid this was going to be a long episode. Okay, but that's the last of my finished objects. So I will go on to my works in progress. But I have several works in progress that I want to share with you all too. Some of them are going to be in my Make 9 list. So I'm going to share with you some of my works in progress that I'm not going to share in my Make 9 list, and then some of my projects will be. I have 4 whips that are on my Make 9 list. Okay. Oh, I should have stayed standing up because the next project I want to share with you is another Scrappy blanket. Oh, well, I'm getting my exercise standing up and pushing my chair back and forth. So this is the Excavation blanket that I have been working on since 2017. And I just wanted to share with you now that I have finished my section for 2023. So this blanket, every time I finish a project using fingering weight yarn, if I have enough leftovers from that project, I will add a stripe of yarn from that project to this Afghan. And from this progress keeper to the end here are all of the projects that I finished in 2023. And this progress keeper is marking where I was the last time I shared this project. Both of those beautiful progress keepers were gifted to me by Erica of the Rose Opal Knits podcast. She stitched this one, which is incredible. And then this little pinwheel one is also from her. So I just love this project so much. It's such a joy to work on. And I'm thinking that I might finish it this year. We'll see. I have a couple of projects on the go that will add several colors to this blanket if I have enough leftovers. So that will really add to it. Now I forget, I did count when I finished the last stripe on here. I think I still have, I can't quite remember. I think about 120 more, I have about 120 stitches, I think. So that'd be 60 more color stripes to put in, which I'm probably will, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, this project was started November 17th of 2017. It is a free pattern by Jana Pihota. I'm using US 2.75 millimeter needles. And it's a super simple pattern where you just knit across and knit back again, and then you leave a tassel every time that you change colors. So there's tassels on both ends of, or fringe, I should say, on both ends of this blanket. I have modified the pattern. The original pattern calls for you to knit the first half and then switch your work around. And so half of your work would be showing the right side and half of your work would be showing the wrong side, or the purl bump side. And I wanted my entire blanket to show one side with the right side where it has cleaner stripes, and then the other side has the more muddied stripes. So there's a definite right side and a wrong side. But that means that at the halfway point, I started purling all of my stitches instead of knitting all of my stitches, which I know is not everybody's cup of tea, but I don't mind purling, so it doesn't bother me. So instead of increasing on every row like you do at the first half of the blanket, now I decrease every row. And it gets, you know, smaller and smaller every time I add a color to it. Okay, I'll stand up so you can see this one in its entirety too. Again, this is difficult to share it in its entirety, but I'll do my best. Let's see. Oh, I'm doing a poor job, I think, but maybe you can get an idea of how it's looking. I have stitch markers throughout it. I don't know if you can see them all, but I have stitch markers throughout marking each of the years. So I started down here 2017, and then starting here is 2018. This is 2019, and so on. So yeah, I'm excited to see if I can finish up this last little corner this year. It's possible. We will see how it goes. I'm so excited about this though. And as I've mentioned before, I'm pretty sure that when I finish this, I will just start another one because I love the process of having this on the go. There, that's a better way to show it. Oh, it's so cool. I just love it so much. I don't look at it in its entirety except when I share it on a video. So every time I share it on a video, I'm always like, it's amazing. Because I don't look at it that often. And then being able to see it like this is so much fun. I love it. Okay. My next work in progress is being held in this little bag that was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel and a neighbor of mine named Michelle. A different Michelle than the socks are going to, but my friend Michelle gifted me this bag, which I love. It's made by I Love You, or I Heart You maybe. And in here is another Scrappy project that I'm very excited about. And I have been saving all of my little leftovers from my Felici yarn that I used in my socks throughout 2023. I've been saving any little balls that I have, and I am making a pair of Scrappy socks using up my leftovers. And here is how they're turning out. I just love them. I cast on 60 stitches using US 0 2mm needles and did 2x1 ribbing for 20 rounds using Knit Picks Stroll Tweed in the Earl Grey Heather colorway. And then I have started in using the leftover yarns that I have from my socks. So this is the colorway I used for January. And then February went until this red stripe. March is this greenish color. And then I've just started, I didn't have any leftovers. I can't quite remember what happened with my April yarn. I know which one it was. It was, I forget what it's called, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, something about puddle maybe. Anyway, I didn't have any of this left over. I can't remember why. Or not enough, maybe just like tiny little nuggets. There must have been a problem with that yarn where the color stripes got messed up or something. I can't remember, but I don't have any leftovers of that to add to these socks. So anyway, I've just started into the May colorway, which is also green. So I'm not sure how many pairs of socks. I'll definitely be able to make more than one pair of socks because I'm only into May's yarn. And April was the only month that I didn't have any leftovers. I have leftovers from all the other months to add into stripes or add into socks. So I'll definitely be able to make at least 2 pairs, maybe 3 pairs, or maybe that third pair I won't have enough to do the whole sock, but I'll just use up what I've got and then do the rest of the sock in a plain color. But I'm loving them. I use that Stroll Tweed color for the heel flap as well. And I've finished doing the gusset decreases, so I'm just doing plain stockinette on the foot for now. But they're super fun, and I'm very excited about them. Happy to use up some leftover yarns, and they're just super fun. I think they're great. I don't know if you can see very well, but here's a lot of my little leftovers in there from all my socks. Okay, my next work in progress, and my last one before I get into my Make 9 list, is a pair of gloves that I am knitting for my youngest son. It's being held in this project bag that I made. And he has, well, a while ago, he requested me to make him a pair of red gloves, not mittens, but gloves. And I've never knitted a pair of gloves before. So I was up for the challenge, but it really is quite a challenge. It's quite fiddly to work up all of these little fingers. But I mean, it's working out quickly. I just started these yesterday, and they're coming along pretty well, but I'm not enjoying the process. So this son happened to be the first one to ask for these, and if any other child asks for gloves, I'm going to say I'm really sorry, but no. I'm going to finish this pair, and I don't foresee myself ever wanting to make another pair of gloves again, because I'm just not really enjoying the process. But I found a free pattern on Ravelry. It is called the Boys Knitted Glove by Crystal Trulson. It uses worsted weight yarn. I'm using US 6 4mm needles. And I'm using some yarn that was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel named Kim. It is Bernat satin yarn in the crimson colorway, which is 100% acrylic yarn. And I started off knitting these 2 at a time, but now I've separated them onto 2 different needles now that I'm working the fingers. So, but I am working them concurrently. So I knit one pinky finger and then I knit the other pinky finger. I just knit this ring finger this morning and then I'll go and do the ring finger on this one. I have had to adjust the length of these gloves. I've added 4 rounds to each section so far, except for the cuff, which I probably could have added some more length to the cuff as well, but I knit the cuff according to pattern, which is a 2x2 ribbing for about 2.5 inches. And then I added 4 extra rounds to the palm before I separated for the thumb. So you can see the thumb is on some waste yarn here. And then I added 4 extra rounds before I separated for the pinky finger. I added 4 extra rounds to the pinky, and I've added 4 extra rounds to the ring finger. So probably we'll do that for all of the fingers. And I've just been trying it on my son as I go. It's a pretty tight fit, but he likes it. I keep asking him, are you sure it's not too tight? But I mean, it's a snug fit, but I guess you kind of want that for gloves. You wouldn't want it to be too loose and falling off. So anyway, here's how they're coming. Here's the other one. They're kind of funny looking at this stage and they're very awkward. These fingers are knit on DPNs, which is not my favorite. It's just so finicky to have all of these needles and working in the tiny little rounds of these fingers. It's not my favorite, but hopefully I think they'll work up pretty quickly. It's just 10 fingers is a lot. I've only done 3 so far and I already feel like over it, but I will persevere. Okay, I think that is all I have to share before I get into my Make 9 list. So I will insert a picture of my Make 9 board here, and then I will go over all of the projects that I have planned for 2024. So as I mentioned, 4 of my projects are already works in progress. The first one is the Afghan that I have been making, I've been working on since August, and it is called Faith by Helen Shrimpton. I am using all acrylic yarn for this blanket as well, all worsted weight, 100% acrylic yarn, and a lot of it is scraps that I wanted to use up. I am using, I don't always remember what hook size I'm using. Let's see. Here it is, an I 5.5 millimeter hook. And I have made a little bit of progress on this since I shared it on my, last time I shared it, which was a while ago because I put this on hold while I was working on Christmas gifts and things. Can I find my progress keeper? Here it is. This little cute progress keeper was made for me by my cousin Allie, and his little scarf goes along with this minty color so perfectly. So cute. So that's where I was. I had just made that light tan colored section last time I recorded, so I added this glittery blue yarn for this zigzaggy type pattern. And here you can see a little bit of the progress I've made. This is getting really big. Well, when I'm working on it, it feels enormous, but I laid it out I laid it out so I could see how big it was getting, and it's not big enough yet. I mean, it'd be okay for a throw size, but I just finished the 5th part of this pattern, and I'm pretty sure there's 8 parts. I'm pretty sure. So I still have 3 parts left, and I think as you go along, each part has less and less rounds. It's crocheted in the, just going around and around. It's a big square. So again, I'll stand up so you can see this blanket. I have a lot of blankets to share this time. It's super cool too. I love it. There we go. It's looking cool, isn't it? I love it. Yeah, but I guess you can kind of see it's not enormous yet, but gee, when I'm working on it, it seems so big and it takes a long time to get all the way around this square. I should time myself to see how long it takes to get all the way around. It's not a quick process to make a row or a round, but I'm loving it. I think it's great. And yeah, this will just be another blanket for our family. It's a good thing that we have 5 kids because I love making blankets. So I feel like I'm justified in continuing to make tons and tons of blankets because we have a lot of people in our family. So you can never have too many blankets. They're probably my favorite thing to make. I think I love making blankets so much, especially ones that I can use up scraps in like this. It's very gratifying for me. Okay, so that's my first project on my Make 9 list. I just want to finish this. So in the Make 9 Mal, you're allowed to include works in progress, and you're not required to finish anything for the Make 9 Make Along. So please feel free to include any works in progress and also any crafts, crochet, knitting, sewing, weaving, whatever you can think of for works in or for projects or different crafts that you enjoy making. My second project on my Make 9 list is my Ariana cardigan, which is a free pattern by Amy Christoffers. Also, the Faith blanket is another free pattern, by the way. So I have made a little bit of progress on this project as well. Last time I shared, it's been a while since I've shared progress on this project as well, but I had made these first 3 squares and I've made 6 more, which are here. I am using mostly all Knit Picks palette yarn, which is fingering weight, 100% non-superwash Peruvian Highland wool. I love this one so much. I think it's my favorite square so far. I do have 2 extra yarns that are going into this project, which are both, let's see if I can find them. They are both another brand. I'm trying to find my notes on this project. Sorry, here it is. Yarns Brunswick is the other yarn I'm using, which are 2 skeins that I also got at my local thrift store. The colors are black and camel for those 2 colors, and they're both 100% pure virgin wool as well, fingering weight. So they're all fingering weight, which is a modification from the original pattern. The original pattern calls for worsted weight, I think, but I'm just crocheting my squares to be the same dimensions as the squares that are called for in the original pattern. And I'm hoping that it will work out okay. I'm using a 2.75 millimeter hook. And I'm doing a total of 8 rounds for each of my squares. I'm trying to be really random with the placement of these colors as well, and trying not to worry about whether I have placed the colors randomly enough. And I've noticed that a couple of these squares are really similar as far as the color placement, but I think I need to make 40 some squares, and so I'm just not going to worry about it, and I'm just trying to be totally random with the color placement. I love the color scheme that I have going here with these colors. They're just scraps that I had on hand, and I'm loving how they're looking. So the joining color that I will be using is, I don't have it on hand, but it's another Knit Picks palette yarn in the Oregon Coast Heather colorway that if you've watched for a while, I use that same color in the Hireth shawl that I recently knitted. And I love that colorway so much. So that's going to be my joining yarn and the yarn that I use for the ribbing and everything. Okay, I think that's it for that. The third project on my Make 9 list is another Scrappy project. I have shared with you several times, that I am working on this blanket, which is called Granny's Daughter. It is a design by Nancy Fuller, and I got it out of this pamphlet by Leisure Arts, which I got for 50 cents at my thrift store, one of my local thrift stores. Scrap Yarn Afghans Book 2. And the pattern calls for you to make a total of 836 of these little bitty granny squares. And I have made all of them, and I've started joining it into these strips. So you make strips. And I am so excited about this. I wonder when I started this. Let's see if I can find my... Yes, I started it on July 24th of 2022. And I'm so excited that I have finished making all of those little squares. So I've started making some strips already, but I just want to share with you, I've put all of the squares into this wool bag, and I just want to share with you how it looks. Look at all these. It's amazing. I think it's so much fun to see all of these little squares in here. I think it's so cool. So I've used up this is all made using worsted weight 100% acrylic yarn scraps. It only takes an arm's length of yarn to make one of these granny squares. I've used a G 4mm hook for this project, and it's so much fun. I love it so much. Okay. I started joining these strips, and it was the way that these strips are joined is something I have never done before. It's super strange, and I almost gave up because I was like, what? I did not understand what I was supposed to be doing. I have been crocheting for over 20 years. I can't quite remember. I learned when I was 20 or so. So I'm 44 now, so 24 years or something like that. And I was like, what in the world? I went to Ravelry to see if I could find anybody's notes on how they were joined, because I was like, what in the world? I don't understand this at all. But I couldn't really find anything concrete. There's not a ton of projects on Ravelry for this project or for this pattern. But anyway, so I couldn't find anybody else that was really having trouble, or somebody that made notes. I guess there was a couple that maybe said they didn't understand it, and so they did their own thing, but I really wanted to follow the pattern. So I was like, come on, you can do this. You can figure this out. You've been crocheting long enough. You can figure this out. So I went back to the pattern. I studied it, and I did figure it out. So I was so happy about that. Here is the first strip. The joining yarn that I am using is Knit Picks Brava in the almond colorway. And I love that color for this project. Typically, on the cover you saw that it was joined using white or ivory cream colored yarn, which is beautiful too. I saw a few projects with black yarn or gray yarn, which are all really cool options, but I thought it was fun to use this almond colored yarn, kind of something a little bit different, I guess, for a joining yarn for a Scrappy project. But anyway, I just love how this is coming along. Look at all the fun colors. I just think it's so great. And I can look back and remember lots of different projects that I've made with all of these yarns, and it's so much fun. I love it. Okay, and I've started on, so that's the first strip done. I've started on the second one, and I stopped at this point on purpose so that you can kind of get an idea of how this is joined, because it's so new to me anyway. Okay, so this is how it starts. So you crochet into one corner, chain a few stitches, crochet into the next corner, and then you do a funny joining stitch that then goes into the next one, the next corner of the next little square. So you're not finishing the round of any little square until you get the whole strip done. And there's, I think, 38 squares in each strip. And then now that I've finished, I've got this whole strip done on this one side. So then now I'm going to go around and do the other side and join them. I'm crocheting over all my ends. So you can see I've got lots of little ends on this strip yet. But as I work this second row, I will go over all the little ends. And so you can see on this strip, I've covered up all my little ends. I do that most typically with crocheted projects. If I'm not doing the Russian join method, if I'm doing like a pieced crochet project, I crochet over my ends all the time. I think after I do the last, this other side of this second strip, then I think I start joining the two strips together, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm a little bit nervous that, I'm just totally randomly putting these colors together. And I'm a little bit nervous this doesn't actually line up like this, but I'm afraid that it will at some point. I'm going to get maybe 2 squares that are matching like this right next to each other, but those don't actually line up. I laid these 2 out to see if I had any that would be like that, where, I have 2 colors right next to each other that are matching, and I don't on these 2 strips, but I may, because there are a lot of little squares that are repeated. Oh, those two are, is that right? Oh, no, this will be this way, because there were 2 colors really close together, weren't there? Did you notice that? But I was doing it wrong. It goes like this. Anyway, I laid these out, and there's no 2 that are matching right next to each other at this point, but that's not to say that it won't happen in the future, because I'm not gonna worry about it, and I'm just gonna do it totally randomly, and if 2 colors match up and are next to each other, it's just gonna be the way it is, because this is Scrappy, and I'm not gonna stress about making it perfectly random or whatever. But I'm so excited that I am at the point now where I'm joining all of those little squares together. The 4th project that I have as a work in progress, the last one that I have as a work in progress, I'm holding in this bag that I sewed myself. And it is the Triangle Garter Wrap, which is another free pattern by Pearl Soho. And I noticed a theme with my Make 9 board. I have a lot of V-neck cardigans. I have a lot of triangle shawls, and I have a few blankets that I'm wanting, some, crocheted blankets. I think those are basically everything. Yeah, everything fits in one of those 3 categories. Okay, the first shawl is this one here that I've already started. And the other theme I've noticed is I'm changing the yarn weight for a lot of the projects. So I'm not using the yarn weight that is recommended for quite a few of these. So this is another one where I've changed the yarn weight. I don't even remember. I think maybe it's a fingering weight originally, this pattern, but I am using silk mohair, so lace weight. I have several little balls. Several of them were sent to me by Knit Picks accidentally, including this one. Most of them are Knit Picks Aloft. So I have 1 in the white color, which I'm using right now, 2 in the plover color, and 1 in the oat color. And again, these were all sent to me by Knit Picks accidentally. And I contacted them and they said, you can just keep it. So I'm very happy to, and I wanted to use them up. I also have some just bare mohair that I'm going to be adding in as well. So I am just using this pattern as, kind of a guide. It's a pretty simple pattern. It's just a basic triangle with a slip stitch on one end so that you get a neat edge. I'm using US 5, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, US 5 3.75 millimeter needles. And I love how it's turning out. So I am going to be actually turning this into a square. So I was kind of motivated by the Pearl Soho pattern of the half and half triangles wrap, but I didn't want to do that construction with the short rows and things like that. I just wanted to make a simple triangle, and then I will decrease. And I'm going to do color blocks. So I'm going to use up all of this white color, and then my plan is to go into the plover and use that up, and then use the bare. I have this plus a full skein that I can use up. And then finally, I'll use that oat color at the other end. So my plan is to go through this white, the plover, and this, because this is only a partial skein. And then I will start decreasing and use up this and the oat. And I think that adds up because these are 25. The aloft are 25 grams each. So I have 75 grams with the white and the plover. These are 50 grams. This isn't quite 50 grams. But anyway, it's about 50 grams. But anyway, only going to go until this runs out. And then I'll have more than enough because I'll have 50. Is that right? I'm not thinking of this right. This is 75 grams. And this is 75 grams. Oh, so that's not right. So maybe I need to only use like, I should weigh this and use half of this and then start decreasing. That's what I should do. That's what I'm going to do. So anyway, my plan is to make a square eventually, but I really love, I mean, it's going to take a long time for me to work on this because it's lace weight, but it's super simple. Although I have found that I can't knit this without looking like I normally could with simple garter stitch because the mohair, I'm just not used to knitting with plain mohair. I've never knit with plain mohair before. Maybe I'll get more used to it as I continue to work on this, but I really love it. I think it's so cool. I just love the fabric that it's making. And then it'll be a huge square that then I'm just going to double over and wear as a shawl. And I think it'll be great. So I'm excited about that, but it probably will be a long project. Okay. Number 5 is the Rainbow Ripple Baby Blanket, which I have made several of this pattern. It's another free pattern by Celeste Young. And I have had this yarn, I think ever since I made the very first Rainbow Ripple Baby Blanket. I got 3 skeins of this gorgeous yarn. I just love the colors in this yarn. It is Lion Brand Yarns Mandala Ombre in the Serene colorway. It is DK weight. No, I'm sorry. It's listed as worsted weight, 100% acrylic as well. But I just love it so much. So I'm planning on making this. I think this is the only, no, that's not true. This and one other project are gift knits. But it'll be a baby blanket that I will plan on just putting in my stash to gift to someone down the road. I just love making baby blankets. This and another one of my projects also qualify for the make along that Stephanie of Edible Thoughts Makes is hosting. She started this make along. It's called the Make It Again Make Along 2024. Or MAL, I should say, Make It Again MAL 2024. And it's being held from January 1st until March 31st, where she's just encouraging people to make a pattern that they love again. So this will qualify because I have made a lot of these Rainbow Ripple Baby Blankets and I love them. Okay, number 6 is a pattern, another free pattern called An Italian Winter Shawl by an Italian knitter. I love watching her podcast as well as Stephanie of Edible Thoughts Makes. I love both of those ladies and the knitting podcast that they share on YouTube. And this is just a super simple shawl. It has some eyelets in it that I may or may not, I don't think that I will be including the eyelets. I just wanted a super simple garter stitch triangle shawl. And I will be using up, it's a DK weight pattern. And I'll be using up the Knit Picks palette leftovers that I have after I finish my Ariana cardigan. And I'll be holding 2 strands of that Knit Picks palette together to make a DK weight, simple, scrappy triangle shawl. Number 7 is the Casper Jacket by Johanna Garish. And I am very excited about this project. I have already done a swatch for it because, as I mentioned, I am changing the yarn recommendation for this pattern. I'm doing that on a few projects. So it calls for a DK weight yarn plus 2 strands of lace weight yarn. And I've decided to use a worsted weight yarn and 1 strand of lace mohair. So I have Wool of the Andes worsted weight in the cranberry colorway, and then Knit Picks Aloft also in cranberry, which I'm holding together. And I got gauge on my first try. I didn't make a huge gauge swatch, but it's big enough for my liking. And I got gauge with my first swatch, which is unheard of for me. I used US 8 5mm needles, and I just love the fabric that this has created. So I might cast this on pretty quickly because I'm super excited about it. This is just a nice, simple V-neck cardigan. I'm very excited about V-neck cardigans lately, and I'm excited to have a red cardigan in my wardrobe. Okay, number 8 is the Time in a Bottle shawl, which is another one of my Make It Again projects. And this will be my other gift project. I will be making this as a prayer shawl to gift to our church. And this yarn was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel named Kim again. And it again is Lion Brand Yarns Mandala. This is classified as DK weight, 100% acrylic in the Warlock color way. And I have 3 skeins of this as well. I also have another colorway that Kim sent to me that I might make a second Time in a Bottle shawl. I didn't mention that pattern is by Dawn M. Castillo. And here's the other one, but I think I'll use this colorway first because I love the colors in that so much. But this one is called Brownie, which is an odd color because there's not actually any real deep chocolate brown in this, but it's called Brownie. That would be a really beautiful one too. Okay, number 9, my last project is another V-neck cardigan that I'm super excited about. It is called Romance by Trico Design MCL. This one is another one that I'm changing the yarn weight on. It calls for fingering plus lace held together. And I am just using a sport weight. And I've already not done a swatch for this one too. And I got gauge on my first try again. I was so shocked and super thrilled. I used US 6 4mm for this gauge swatch, which also the needles that I picked for both of these swatches were really quite random. I was just shooting in the dark. I mean, I have a general idea of what I might get because of my experience knitting, but it was kind of a random guess. And I just happened to pick the right needle size, which is super great. Anyway, this is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes sport weight in, I forget what colorway it's called, Pampas Heather. I started knitting a different cardigan out of this yarn last year and it didn't work out, so you can kind of tell that this has been ripped out of a project or frogged from a different project. But I'm so excited about having a cardigan in this colorway as well. Look at the differentiation in that yarn. So beautiful. I love the heathered colorways from Knit Picks so much. This is another non-superwash Peruvian Highland wool. And I love it. So those are all of my projects for my Make 9 board, and I'm super excited about all of them. One last thing before I let you all go. I know it's such a long episode, but I just wanted to share this new yarn that I received from Dandelion and Dogwood. I had done the test knit for Amy Loudon, of one of the dyers of Dandelion and Dogwood. I test knit the Mayberry cardigan for her, and as a thank you for test knitting, she allowed the test knitters to get one, well, in her sign up for the test knit, she said she would give us 1 skein of yarn, but Amy sent me these 2 little extra minis as well as like a sock set, which was not expected. I just asked for, we could go on her website and pick whatever colorway we wanted, and I picked this from her Christmas collection, which is just so gorgeous. It's called Candy Cane Peppermint Bark. I got it on the Fairy sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. So it's super sparkly, even though that's not showing up on the camera very well, but it's so beautiful. I am so excited to make a fun pair. Probably I'll make a pair of Christmassy socks out of this yarn. It's not super duper Christmassy, but it's definitely got those Christmassy colors in it as well. I'm so excited about that. So thank you so much, Amy. I love this yarn so much. So that is everything I have to share with you all. If you I hope that you enjoyed watching all of my plans and all of the things I'm working on and everything. I really appreciate you joining me for this long episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all are doing really well. Thanks so much for joining me today. Bye-bye.